This is Phil Hartmann with PH Fabrication and Horton Race Cars. Just wanted to give you guys a weekly shop update on what's going on in the shop. So this week's been a pretty busy week. We've got the Buick in. It was in last week a little bit. We were doing some work. We really made some good progress on the Buick this week. Jeremy, who has been working with me for about 4 months now, or 5 months, has done a really nice job on getting the rear frame rails cut. The customer wanted to put bigger tires and move the tires into the wheel well a little bit more. And in order to do this and keep the stock frames, you have to actually narrow up the frame rail. So we cut and boxed the frame rail and actually make it about a 1 inch thick frame instead of the stock 3 inch frame. And it will actually allow us to give the customer more room to put a bigger tire or move the tires in under the wheel well a little bit better. We still have to cut the tub and probably put a set of tubs under it to allow him the room that he wants. But along with narrowing the frame up, we also had to modify his rear end. So we actually cut the ends off on each side and narrowed the rear end up. Also, with narrowing the rear end up, we added a rear support to the rear end to give the overall housing more structure. We also added rod ends to the top of the rear end. Now, the G-body Buicks always had a stock rubber mount top mounts. We got rid of the rubber mount and added rod ends, and this will give the customer a little bit more adjustability. Option that came with the G-body was normally a coil spring instead of coilovers. In this case, the customer asked us to switch everything over to coilovers, so we have also done that. But it's been a pretty good project all the way around. A few other things we've done on the Buick. The front end cross member, he's putting a different motor in, and so we had to notch the cross member to give us more room for the oil pan. We'll also be adding a halo to the roll cage, along with the bars for the pillars, and a full funny car style cage in the Buick. So probably got another week's worth of work, and be looking forward to getting it out of here and back to the customer. Now, in the other half of the shop, we've got a car that many of you probably have seen on Street Outlaws. It's owned by Chris Becker, and he's a good friend of mine. But we have it in here just doing a few updates. He wanted a few things fixed on the transmission tunnel, basically some holes patched, and also to give him a little bit more room for his shifter linkage. And then a few other miscellaneous things we have to get knocked out for him, but always looking forward to seeing it on Street Outlaws, and hopefully he does well with it. So it's been a good project to have in the shop. Now, in the other half of the shop, and what I do at the shop a lot of times, if we have a customer that we're waiting on parts or that isn't in a big rush, we move cars around. So you'll see a lot of cars swap in and out of the shop. The two bays over there are our main bays, and then over here we basically have a holding bay where if we're waiting on parts from the customer or if they're not in a big rush for it. So we have a 55 Chevy Gasser, and what we've done is we actually just got the rear end back from powder coat. It turned out really nice, and so we were able to get that back underneath it and get it back rolling. We still have to finish up the front steering, along with getting a small block and a big block motor mounted in here, and get a Linco transmission set in. Once all that's handled, the customer will be able to take it home and put the motor he wants in it and hopefully go run it. Well, that is all for my weekly shop update. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you all next week. Bye.